Welcome back to this Moneycontrol live stream. You're watching Closing Bell with me, Nandita Khemka.
And I am Yatin Mota.
Well, Yatin, a good day of trade. We are cruising around that 22,400 mark. I think it's a fourth straight day of gains on the Nifty. Yeah. And, although we have come off from the day's highs, 22,476, that was the day's high. But we did manage to clutch on to that 22,400 mark, even though we came off the day's high. Broad end of the markets continues its outperformance. The Nifty mid cap index was up 0.7%. Even the small cap index continued to do well. Breadth firmly in favor of gainers, 1:1. That was the market breadth on NSE, the advanced decline ratio. And if you look at the Nifty bank index, that also held on to that 48,000 mark, Yatin. In fact, I think it ended near the day's high, and Axis Bank numbers, that will be awaited. It will be coming out post market hours. So ahead of that, Bank Nifty was doing well, and most of the banking counters were among the gainers today. Aside of that, if you look at the Nifty Metal Pack, in fact the BSE Metal Pack for that matter, that hit a fresh all-time high. All of April we've seen bouts of gains on the metal index, given the fact that commodities and metals like aluminium, zinc, copper, all these commodities or metals have been at multi-year highs. Copper is at 2-year high, zinc at 1-year high. So all that is boding well for the metal stocks. So steel stocks were among the top gainers today. Tata Steel, JSW Steel, even the likes of Hindalco among the top gainers. On the other hand, you had some pharma names also doing well. Yesterday pharma was out of favor. Today Cipla emerged as the top Nifty gainer, 4% gain coming in there. Aside of that, Power Grade, Apollo Hospital, NTPC, Divi's Lab, Hero Moto, these were among some of the other gainers. On the flip side, you had Tata Consumer reacting to its earnings, mixed bag. Of course, Nourishco and tea business were soft. And of course, even though brokerages have maintained the faith, the stock was under selling pressure. 5.5% cut coming in on Tata Consumer. Grasim yesterday was among the top movers. Today fell, succumbed to profit booking. Tech Mahindra, HDFC Life, TCS, and IT as a pocket didn't do all that well today as well. So all these technology names like TCS, Infosys were among the laggards. But Yatin, lots of result reactions and movers and shakers in the broader end of the market.
Absolutely, and Nandita, as you were mentioning, the market kept on holding. The mid cap index almost 0.7% higher. The advanced decline ratio on the NSE also 3:2. So the market breadth was healthy despite the intraday volatility, and obviously tomorrow is the expiry day, and tomorrow we have Vodafone Idea's listing as well. So it will be interesting to see how really volumes shape up, because most probably tomorrow we'll see record volumes on Vodafone Idea, given the fact that the 18,000 crore FPO shares, that is the worth of those shares which will hit the secondary market. Now, shifting focus to the earnings season, we have Chennai Petro. That stock was the top gainer on the Nifty 500 because we have a 15-16% move coming in on that stock post earnings. Results were flat, but most importantly, it was a 55 rupees dividend, which probably prompted more buying interest in the stock. Obviously, if you look at the full year performance, quite undervalued in terms of the overall earnings picture. Aegis Chemicals, that is one stock which moved 12.5%, so good move coming in there. Deepak Fertilizers and United Breweries, which is Heineken promoted company, that stock moved nearly 10% in trade. What did not do well? Idea, ahead of the listing tomorrow, and most importantly, the allotment details were out today. So a lot of traders who want to really take the risk of allotment and the application for today, they might be able to do a pay-in tomorrow. So they have also sold some shares. Tata Consumer, Sun Pharma Advance, and MCX along with Tata Elxsi were the other stocks which were reacting adversely to the earnings. In fact, MCX earnings were good, but broad day of profit taking. Tata Elxsi again, most of the brokerages do expect that the valuations of the company probably would lead to a underperformance in the near term.
That's true. Aside of that, I think lots of other movers also. I think Chennai Petro was one. I think it was,
that is what I mentioned. 15%. In the start that that stock moved 16% on the back of earnings and a 55 rupees dividend.
Yeah. So lots of earnings reactions, and of course that will continue to happen as we are in the thick of the earnings season. But let's take a look at the stocks that are on our radar this afternoon. Starting with Axis Bank, of course, numbers will be coming out today post market hours. Remember, HDFC Bank has kicked off the earnings season on a good note for the banking companies, right? Banking companies, as I said. It has come out with a margin surprise, a 4 basis point margin expansion on a quarter-on-quarter basis, and of course deposit growth also rebounded compared to last quarter. So most of the analysts, at least for HDFC Bank, were saying that margin pain may be out of the way. and they had of course come out with buy rating, and they had target price of 1800. So let's see whether or not Axis Bank can also spring some positive surprise, given the fact that the bank is expected to swing back to profit compared to last year. Last year, remember, there was the City integration that weighed down on profits, profitability rather, which is why it reported a loss. But this time around, it is expected to swing back to profits, and on a quarter-on-quarter basis. However, the profit is expected to remain flat on the back of lower treasury income as well as high base. NII may grow 8% on a YY basis. Of course, slippages are expected to be on the higher side, and higher cost of deposits are expected to take a toll on margins. So these are two factors to watch out for. Aside of that, asset quality is likely to improve on a quarter-on-quarter basis, and loan growth is projected to be around 14%. With a focus on high-yielding loan segments. That has been the trend. But if you look at the stock, Yatin, on a YTD basis, it is down 3% vis-a-vis Bank Nifty's flat performance. So it has underperformed the Nifty Bank Index so far this year. So we'll have to see, whether or not we see some bit of surprise, margin surprise coming in from Axis Bank as well or not. And of course, the stock will be reacting to the numbers tomorrow morning.
Absolutely, and Axis Bank is one stock we'll watch out for. And on the day of HDFC Bank results, stock was almost flat, but Axis Bank on that day ended the day higher by nearly 3%. So I remember that during the HDFC Bank numbers, Axis Bank reacted the most in terms of positivity.
That's what, and we haven't seen any fireworks in the share price of HDFC Bank ever since the numbers came out.
That was about Axis Bank, but let's shift our focus back to the financial sector only. But let's keep it to the markets, wherein companies like IIFL Wealth, which is now called 361, that stock is in focus. Today, intraday, the stock moved nearly 8%, and strong volumes and price action was seen in trade today. Why? Because earnings were strong. Jefferies has also increased the target price to a new level of 930. Now, most importantly, the company has reported a strong earning growth of nearly 56% on a year-on-year basis. In general, the capital market business as well as wealth management business have been doing well, and probably in tandem with the market move, we had the earnings growth also doing in good for a company like 361. Now, most importantly, we have the ARR revenue also up nearly 36%. Their wealth business remains in fast lane with a growth of nearly 35%. Most importantly, the AUM scale up because of new client addition would drive earnings moving forward according to Jefferies, and most importantly, we could see a price momentum moving ahead. Now the PBT, which is the profit before tax, should be growing at a compounded rate of nearly 20% according to Jefferies, and probably that is what is keeping them quite bullish on the stock of 361. If you look at the intraday chart, strong price and volume action is what you can figure out for the trade today. So 361, Nandita, is one stock we need to watch out for. And if you look at the entire sector, be it Anand Rathi Wealth, be it IIFL, which is 361, be it Nuvama Wealth, all of these wealth management companies are now in the spotlight, given the fact that once the GDP growth comes in, you have more millionaires and more billionaires, and for their money management, you need such firms. So I think a lot of interest of the street is in all of these stocks.
I think which is why majority of brokerages or analysts that cover this stock have a strong buy rating on this particular stock. But let's talk about Tata Elxsi, Yatin. That's another stock on my radar. Of course, results disappointment, and that clearly reflected in the stock price as well. Ended lower by about 5% or thereabouts. It reported a constant currency revenue decline of somewhere around 0.6% on a quarter-on-quarter basis, vis-a-vis JP Morgan expectations of 3.5%. So that's quite a big disappointment on the constant currency revenue growth front. Media and communication, which contributes to a third of its top line, saw a decline by 4% due to challenging industry environment, as well as a one-time ramp down with one customer. If you look at what brokerages have to say, JP Morgan has an underweight rating. Target price has been cut to 5,800 rupees from 6,000 rupees. In fact, Morgan Stanley also has an underweight rating. The target price here is 6,860 rupees per share. It has pointed out that Q4 was a miss, but management, although sounded pretty much constructive on the revenue growth in FY25. But the good commentary, according to Morgan Morgan Stanley may not be enough given the burden of high expectations as well as steep valuations. As a result of that, Morgan Stanley has cut its EPS estimates by 3.9% and 5.4% for FY25 and FY26. But interesting fact, even though it is one of the worst performing Tata Group stocks, it has declared its highest ever dividend of 70 rupees per share. But this would lead to a dividend outgo of 436 crore rupees, Yatin, which is half of their full year profit. So that's quite a big amount of dividend outgo, right? And of course, with the drop of almost 20% so far in 2024, as I mentioned, it is one of the worst performer in the group. And the 60% of the analysts who actually cover the stock have a sell rating on the stock, Yatin.
Absolutely, and Tata Elxsi, this is one stock which has been a 100 bagger in the longer term with strong wealth creation coming in. This company earlier was known as CMC, and it's the subsidiary of TCS. So yes, strong move coming in for the stock, but yes, earnings disappointment and in general profit taking in the counter has led to a 5% fall in trade today.
Yeah, yes, high expectations, as you mentioned, it was a multi-bagger, so which is what Morgan Stanley has also pointed out, that a burden of high expectations as well as steep valuations, so the company needs to really justify that. But with that, we've come to the end of closing bell. Those were all the stocks that were on our radar this afternoon. But of course, we'll be back with a lot more stocks and a lot more discussions tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So don't forget to tune in to opening bell. But for now, have a good evening and come back and join us in the morning. But for now, Yatin and I say goodbye. Stay tuned to Moneycontrol for all your other news and updates.
Thank you.